welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're handing you a bit of a powerful lens, actually.
Oh, yeah. What kind of lens?
One that lets you see how these hidden drivers of our decisions,
hmm
cognitive biases, behavioral economics, how they're strategically used in Google Ads.
Ah, right. So understanding the persuasion game online.
Exactly. Think of it like getting an insider's edge. Doesn't matter how techy you are.
Okay, I'm interested. And we're looking at this through the work of Axies Digital, I believe.
That's right. We're pulling back the curtain on some of their insights. They really focus their digital marketing on, well, understanding what makes people pick.
So it's not just keywords and clicks for them, it's deeper.
Much deeper. It's decoding human behavior to figure out what leads to real action.
Makes sense. Understanding people is a powerful tool in this field, for sure.
Totally. So our mission today really is to boil down these core psychological principles, Axies Digital uses in Google Ads, make them accessible.
Give people those aha moments.
Exactly. So you start seeing these techniques everywhere online.
All right, let's dive in. Where should we start? Maybe with those cognitive biases you mentioned. Axies Digital sees them as sort of conversion-driving superpowers.
Yeah, let's do that. So cognitive biases, they're basically predictable mental shortcuts our brains take, right? Not always perfectly rational.
Exactly. Efficient, often, but they can lead us down certain paths consistently. Axies Digital really hones in on a couple for Google Ads.
Okay, which ones? Let's start with scarcity. That feels familiar.
Oh, definitely. You know that feeling when you see only a few left, or maybe offer ends soon?
Yeah, it gives you a little edge, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you need to act fast.
Precisely. That's FOMO, the fear of missing out on action. Advertisers use it because it works.
So Axies Digital would put phrases like that directly in the ad copy.
Absolutely. Things like limited stock available or sale ends Friday, they find it can really boost immediate clicks because it kind of bypasses that slower, more thoughtful decision-making process.
It taps right into that urgency. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that one. What's the second big bias they leverage?
Loss aversion. This one's really interesting.
Go on.
Well, the core idea is that we tend to dislike losing something much more intensely than we enjoy gaining something of equivalent value.
So avoiding a loss feels more critical than achieving a gain.
Exactly. It's a fundamental part of behavioral economics. Axies Digital uses this in how they frame messages.
How so? Give me an example.
Okay, think about the difference between saying, get this deal, versus don't miss this deal.
Ah, okay. The second one feels stronger, more urgent.
Right. It shifts your focus to what you stand to lose if you don't act. That potential loss can be a much more powerful motivator than just the prospect of gaining something.
Fascinating. So these biases are the psychological buttons. But how does Google Ads actually let marketers find the people to push these buttons for? That's behavioral targeting, isn't it?
That's where it gets clever. Google's platform observes a lot of online activity sites visited, videos watched, ads clicked, even patterns in email engagement, though always respecting privacy rules.
Okay, so it builds a picture of interests and maybe current needs.
Sort of, yeah. Axies Digital takes these signals, these clues about your likely interests and what might be driving you right now, and they tailor the ads.
Tailor them how?
They align the ad message with those psychological triggers we just talked about: scarcity, loss aversion, aiming for something that really resonates with where you seem to be at that moment.
So instead of one generic ad for everyone, it's about finding the right person with the right message, maybe framed in a particular way at the right time.
Exactly. The goal is to get more meaningful clicks, clicks that are more likely to lead to a conversion because the message actually connects.
Right, because Axies Digital emphasizes that point, don't they? That a lot of consumer decisions are emotional, often subconscious.
They really do. And that's where behavioral economics offers such valuable insights for them. They look at key decision-making triggers.
Okay, what kind of triggers are we talking about?
Well, one big category is heuristics, mental shortcuts.
Right, the brain being efficient again. How does that play out in an ad?
Think about seeing bestseller or top rated next to a product.
Okay, yeah.
That's using a heuristic. It signals social proof. Your brain thinks lots of other people bought this and liked it, so it's probably a safe bet.
It simplifies the choice,
Oh.
especially if there are loads of options.
Precisely. Axies Digital often builds these trust signals, these social proof indicators, right into their ads to make you feel more confident clicking.
Makes total sense. Okay, what's another trigger? You mentioned framing again earlier with loss aversion. Are there other ways framing works?
Definitely. They give the example of, say, limited time saving versus just 20 pounds off.
They might be the same discount.
Exactly the same. But limited time saving frames it with urgency. It brings back that scarcity idea. It suggests the value is fleeting, which can push you to act faster.
So how you present the information really changes how people perceive its value or urgency.
Absolutely. Presentation is key.
Okay, and the last trigger they mentioned was priming. That sounds a bit more subtle.
It is quite subtle. Priming is about exposing you to a small cue, could be a word, an image, even a color that influences your later thoughts or actions, often without you even noticing.
Like how? In an ad context.
Well, maybe using colors associated with trust, like blue for financial services,
Yeah.
or using words that subconsciously suggest security or ease. Even the imagery can prime a certain mindset, nudging you gently towards taking action.
Wow. It's like planting a tiny seed.
Kind of. And Axies Digital points to this incredible statistic. Apparently, the brain makes something like 35,000 decisions a day.
35,000. Seriously.
Yeah, and most are on autopilot using these shortcuts and subconscious processes. So ads that align with that, they have a much better chance of cutting through.
Then ads that make you stop and think really hard.
And exactly, those just get ignored most of the time.
Mhm.
You need to tap into the more automatic responses.
This makes so much sense. Can we look at some specific examples? How does Axies Digital apply this in different industries?
Yeah, they have some great examples. Let's start with e-commerce. That's a big one. They talk about anchoring.
Anchoring. Okay,
Yeah.
what's the principle there?
It's our tendency to rely really heavily on the first piece of information we get, the anchor.
Right.
So in e-commerce, showing a higher original price slash next to the sale price creates that anchor. That 100 pounds crossed out next to $59 makes the $59 feel like a fantastic deal.
Even if $59 is still, well,
Hmm.
$59, it's the comparison.
Exactly. The anchor frames your perception of the value. Axies Digital builds this into product feeds, ad copy, really emphasizes that perceived saving.
Got it. And what about those scarcity nudges in e-commerce?
Oh yeah, like stock countdowns, only 3 left. Or maybe badges saying 50 sold today.
Creates that sense of urgency, that FOMO again.
Precisely. And they stress that they A/B test these messages. They don't just guess. They see which specific scarcity tactic actually works best for a particular audience or product.
Smart. Okay, let's switch industries. What about health and wellness? How do these psych principles apply there? Especially with things like micro-targeting.
This is where Google's AI combined with behavioral insights gets really powerful, according to Axies Digital. They can reach people actively searching for specific treatments or health solutions.
But without needing their private health data.
Exactly. It's about interpreting the online signals, the search terms, the content being consumed that strongly indicate a particular need or interest. Then they can deliver a relevant, helpful ad.
So it's matching the solution to the search intent. Very precisely.
Right. Much more effective than broad assumptions.
Okay. And home improvement? Another area where decisions can feel big.
Absolutely. And framing is huge here. Axies Digital gave a great comparison. Imagine seeing an ad that says, prevent a 5,000 pounds repair, book your inspection now.
Okay.
Versus something more generic like, book your free inspection.
The first one hits that loss aversion nerve hard, that potential 5,000 pounds cost.
Exactly. It frames the inspection not just as a freebie, but as protection against a significant potential loss.
Yeah.
Much more motivating for many people.
That's a very clear difference in impact.
Mm-hmm.
They also mention ease of use being critical here.
Yeah.
How does that link to behavior?
It's all about reducing friction. Think about it if you're interested in getting a quote for, say, new windows, but the website makes you fill out a super long, complicated form.
You might just give up.
Right, you lose motivation. So Axies Digital advises clients to make things easy. One-click booking, clear contact info, simple forms. Minimize the effort required from the user to take that next step.
Remove the barriers to action. Makes sense. Now, looking ahead a bit, with things like third-party cookies phasing out, how does AI fit into this behavioral targeting picture now? What's Axies Digital seeing?
It's a major shift, and AI is becoming absolutely central to doing this effectively and respecting privacy.
Okay.
How? They highlight 2 key applications. First, contextual targeting is getting smarter.
So ads based on the page you're reading or the video you're watching right now.
Exactly. It's about relevance in the moment based on the content's context, not your past browsing history across the web.
That feels less intrusive, definitely. What's the second AI application?
Creating what they call micro-audience segments. AI can sift through huge amounts of anonymized data to spot these small, very specific groups who show a really high likelihood of converting for a particular offer.
So finding niche audiences with high potential.
Precisely. They say this is especially useful in sectors like healthcare again, where you need very precise messaging for specific conditions or needs. AI helps uncover these valuable segments.
So AI isn't just automating, it's helping understand the why behind potential customer interest, even without invasive tracking.
That's the idea. Combine that deeper AI-driven understanding of motivation with the behavioral economics principles we've discussed, plus smart targeting. That's the recipe for effective Google Ads campaigns now, according to Axies Digital.
It really gives AI a role in understanding the customer's perspective.
Yes, understanding the underlying drives. That allows for campaigns that truly resonate.
This has been incredibly insightful.
Hmm.
So if we boil it down, the key takeaway is effective advertising today isn't just about the tech. It's deeply about understanding human psychology.
Absolutely. It leverages those drivers behind our behavior, often the unconscious ones.
And Axies Digital's approach really underscores that designing these behavioral journeys that connect with real motivations.
It's about speaking the brain's language, in a way.
And, it strikes me that understanding these principles isn't just useful if you're an advertiser.
Oh, definitely not.
For anyone listening, being aware of cognitive biases, framing, scarcity tactics,
Yeah.
it makes you a more discerning consumer.
Hugely. You start recognizing these techniques being used on you in all sorts of contexts, not just ads. It empowers you to make more conscious choices.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps you navigate the persuasive messages we're all bombarded with.
Which actually leads to a final thought, maybe something for listeners to mull over.
Go for it.
Just think about the subtle psychological plays you encounter every single day. Online, sure, but also in shops, in negotiations, even in news headlines. How could getting a better handle on behavioral economics make you a shrewder, more informed decision maker in your own life, far beyond just clicking on ads?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah.
It turns this knowledge into a tool for personal awareness.
Exactly, something to think about.